It's Tuesday, the 1st of March 2022. Welcome to the Fast 5 by Fear and Greed, where we give you the top 5 business stories you need to know in just 5 minutes. I'm Michael Thompson, and good morning, Sean Aylmer.
Good morning, Michael.
All right, here we go. 5 stories in 5 minutes. Sean, story number 1, and the December half earnings season has come to an end, and you've cast an eye over pretty much every company that's reported over the last 4 weeks. Overall, pretty solid half year for corporate Australia.
Yeah, you're being a bit generous. I'm not sure I made all 200 of them, but I certainly looked at a lot of them. Yeah, overall consensus earnings growth expectations rose from about 13 to 15%. That's a pretty good result. If we run through the sectors, Rio Tinto and BHP both provided cracking results and massive dividends. Now, BHP's was the third record dividend in a row, and Rio was the biggest payout ever. That's because iron ore prices are strong. Fortescue didn't do so well. The Commonwealth Bank did very well in its half year. What we're seeing in the banking sector is the Commonwealth Bank and National Australia Bank really being the favoured two over Westpac and ANZ. The energy companies Woodside and Santos, they reported huge profits, again thanks to surging commodity prices, and the healthcare companies did really well, CSL and Cochlear particularly. Think about some of the others. Retailers were hit by lockdowns and restrictions. Coles is probably the preferred supermarket over Woolworths at the moment. Some of those guys like JB Hi-Fi, Harvey Norman just didn't perform as well as hoped. For travel people, Qantas, Flight Centre, corporate travel management, and then some of the market darlings didn't do so well. Domino's Pizza fits into that category. Weaker sales in Japan and higher food prices led to a big sell-off. Aristocrat Leisure, bit rough, but their takeover of UK group Playtech failed. It has to go back to the drawing board on that, and James Hardie's share price has been falling ever since its profit announcement. All in all, a strong earnings season, but as always, you kind of have to go through it to get the good and the bad.
Okay, story number 2, Sean, and the invasion of Ukraine by Russia continues, and the next couple of days really are going to be crucial.
Yes, Russian troops took 2 smaller cities in southern Ukraine over the past 24 hours, and the capital Kyiv and second city Kharkiv are under heavy fire. Dozens of Ukrainians are believed to have died in Kharkiv in particularly fierce fighting. The attacks took place while Russian and Ukrainian officials met on the Belarusian border to discuss a ceasefire. No breakthrough was achieved, but there are reports that talks will continue. Also, Russian President Vladimir Putin spoke to French President Emmanuel Macron and said a Ukrainian settlement was only possible if Kyiv was neutral, denazified and demilitarized. Mr. Macron had called for an end to all strikes and attacks on civilians and homes. Now, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, who remains in Kyiv, said the next 24 to 48 hours are crucial in defending the country. He's asked that Ukraine become an EU member immediately, something that usually takes years. The request will infuriate Mr. Putin.
All right. Now, story number 3, Sean, and back home there is a disaster unfolding as well, and it has been now developing for some time. The floods in southeast Queensland and in northern New South Wales. Suncorp has said that they will cost around $75 million. The damage is just extraordinary, and the loss of life as well.
It's incredible. In Lismore in northern New South Wales, the peak of that flood there is 2 metres above the previous record. There have been 8 lives lost in southeast Queensland. In that Lismore area that I mentioned, there was at least 700 rescues or evacuations occurred. Dominic Perrottet, the New South Wales Premier, said it's just going to get worse, at least in the next couple of days, as the weather and the water heads south. It is a real crisis, and as you said, Suncorp said it was going to cost $75 million, but all the insurers will be hit by this. But of course, the cost to individuals and their homes and their goods and the belongings, it's dreadful.
Story number 4 today, Sean, and I know that we said reporting season has finished, but there was a very interesting story, one that you've been watching for a while now. PointsBet reported yesterday.
This is the gaming group that operates in the US market. Now, its share price tripled during the first year of the pandemic as prohibitions against sports betting were removed state by state in America. That was the good news. The bad news was that plenty of new players came into the market, many with deeper pockets. Its share price is down 76% in the last year, including 3% yesterday. Now, the group has more than $500 million in cash, which it will use to acquire new customers. But wow, what a competitive market, and what a run it had, and what a fall it's had as well.
Now, finally, Sean, story number 5. I don't own a dog, so I don't really understand this, but I know dogs are a part of the family for a lot of people. So the funeral business Invacare has found a growing revenue stream.
Yes, it reported yesterday. Now, Invacare owns a bunch of funeral businesses, including White Lady Funerals and Simplicity Funerals. Last year, it returned profitability on the back of stronger investment markets. Now, it makes some of its profit from people prepaying for funerals, and then Invacare invests that money. But there's a new fast-growing income stream. Its boss, Oliver Chretien, reckons there's money to be made in pet cremations. In fact, it's the fastest-growing segment of the funeral homes business because people want to keep the ashes of family members, and a pet is a family member. So no longer do people bury their pooch, they cremate and keep the ashes. And Invacare's pet funeral business is surging.
There you go. All right, top 5 business stories in 5 minutes. Thank you very much, Sean.
Thank you, Michael.
It's Tuesday, the 1st of March, 2022. Remember to hit follow on the podcast, and if you'd like something with a little bit more detail and some interviews as well, you can find our longer daily show called Fear and Greed on your podcast platform. I'm Michael Thompson, and that was the Fast 5 by Fear and Greed. Have a great day.